I think my legacy is actually starting already because having done Dreamgirls, the number of young girls who are now like 35, 40, who come up to me and say, I saw you in Dreamgirls and you made me feel beautiful. Yes, let me pat myself on the back. I love that. When I look at my son Etienne and my daughter Coco, and I see them living and thriving, I see myself in my children. I even see myself sometimes in my nieces and nephews. You know, I remember taking my nephew to see Wicked, and he said, Auntie, I gotta be in show business. And he's like maybe one of two young black male equity stage managers. He's on the road now with Cinderella, and it was like he saw something on stage and he figured out where it was he fit in, and it was the perfect thing for him. So I think it's happening, but at the end it'll be like you know, Cicely Tyson, well done. Mr. Poitier, well done. I mean, who are those folks? You have just been classy and amazing. Diane Carroll, well done. You know, that's it. Well done.
Now, you've always carried yourself with such class and dignity.
Oh, God bless you. Let me sit up straighter.
How important is it to be specific with how you present yourself in life, down to the role that you choose?
For me, it was very important because I wanted my church to be proud of me. I wanted my parents to be proud of me. I wanted my family to always be able to say, you see her right there, that Sheryl Lee Ralph? That's my cousin, my sister, my friend. She goes to my church. We went to school together, without anybody having to say, oh, wait, what? What did she say? I always wanted them to be able to be proud of me. So those are the footsteps that I decided to take. And I made my mind up to do that. So it didn't just happen by chance. I always had it in my mind, in my imagination, that I was going to do something great, even if that meant I was going to become a doctor, as in a doctor of medicine or a PhD. My uncle was a doctor of medicine. My dad was a PhD. So to me, that was great. So I always knew I was going to live to do something great. Little did I know it would be on stage, on TV, and in film. And I'd get paid too. Mm-hmm.
Was there anyone you looked up to?
Everybody. I looked up to everybody. I looked up to the folks in church. Now, mind you, I had that dual culture thing going on. My mother, I'm an immigrant's child, my mother from Jamaica. So I would go back and forth to Jamaica with my mom. So my godfather was a politician. My cousin was a politician. My godfather ended up being Prime Minister of Jamaica. So I always looked up to him. Uncle PJ, Uncle Ernest was the ambassador to England. So I just couldn't wait to become 16 to get that ticket to go to England and go spend time with Uncle Ernest. So, and then there was my dad. My dad was always breaking barriers as the first. He was the first black teacher in the Waterbury, Connecticut school district. He was the first black principal, head of the department. He ended up writing the cantata for the state cantata for Connecticut, the nutmeg, so much so that my dad was a question on Jeopardy. Yeah. So I always had great role models. My mom, having her atelier, doing her fashion and all. So there were great things happening all around me that made me know, yeah, you can do great things in life because you could see people doing it. I created the Diva Foundation, divinely inspired, victoriously AIDS aware, 27 years ago. And I created it as a living, breathing memorial to all the friends I lost to AIDS as an original company member of Dreamgirls on Broadway. And Dreamgirls for me was literally very Dickensian in the sense that it was the best of times, the worst of times. And here I was in this great time in life, and my friends were literally just getting sick and dying. They were like dropping dead. And it was awful because, we had phone books then, and you'd write people's information in this book, and the way you would have to start crossing people's names out, one day I just couldn't take it anymore because so many of them had just died. And I decided that I wasn't going to cross out any more names, that I had to figure out some way. Oh, man. And I think about it and it's like, I had to create a way for people to always know that no matter what people thought about my friends, their sexual preference, anything like that, I always wanted them to know that they were good people, they were kind people, they were somebody's son, and there were some instances somebody's daughter too, that they were actually here and they had made such a great, contribution to life. And that's why I created Divas, and it's a living, breathing memorial. And people always say, what do? I said, we raise awareness and we keep their names alive. And that's what we do. And since then, I created something called Divas Simply Singing, and every year consecutively, somewhere in the world, there is a Divas Simply Singing. For the past 26 years, it's been in Los Angeles, and then the past 2 years, it's been in Philadelphia and Los Angeles, and I bring all the divas together and they simply sing one song, usually with piano alone, because that's all I can afford. Right. So we do that every year to raise awareness about the need to, be responsible for your own sexual life and well-being. If you can have a green footprint, you can have a sexual footprint. Condoms are your friend if you use them properly. Yes, there is something called PrEP, but it must be used like birth control. Like a woman can't miss a day, you can't miss a day. So that is what we do. I remember when I started this, people told me I was a fool. They said people are not going to like you. It's not a pretty subject. And if you're going to be a star, you have to be a star like Sharon Stone or Elizabeth Taylor. You can't be you and do this. I was like, thank you. So anyway, I followed my own mind. 26 years later, Divas Simply Singing is the longest consecutive running musical AIDS benefit in the country. Thank you. And dare I say, the world. And Elizabeth Taylor, she was the one that told me when I was getting real backlash. She said some of these people couldn't tell their ASSS from a hole in the ground. You do you, Sheryl Lee Ralph. She didn't say it in just that way. She was a bit more pulled up, but yes. Let me tell you, there was nothing better for me at that time to be in a series, having walked the walk on a road that I had helped build, than to see this 14-year-old in all of her braids on TV as a smart girl writing in her journal about her life. And we were drawing 10 million viewers a week. Oh, it was great. It was great. And to now see her grow up, have a child of her own, that was a great time in my life.
A lot of fans feel like it didn't end properly.
Because it didn't end properly. Yes. But I don't know if you will get an ending to it. But I still say, Brandy, call me. You and we need to make some bank together, baby. There's a series there. Yes, call your mother. Well, your other mother.
Any advice for any actors or anyone in entertainment who might feel like they're working hard and it's not going anywhere?
First of all, you got to change your mindset. The moment you're starting to talk about, I'm working so hard and I'm not going anywhere, that's some very negative thoughts, because now you're equating your working hard with your not getting anywhere, and you are repeating that. And so that is becoming where and who you are. You have got to change that. Change that state of mind. Put yourself in the mind of I am right where I should be right now. Figure out what it is you need to do differently to put you in that different space. Maybe you need a different class. Maybe you need a different aspect of the industry. Maybe you need to refocus your focus. I'm doing this magic show and I'm like, make it the hocus pocus your focus. You got to, you got to find your magic, and do that. Too many times people only talk to themselves to discourage themselves for what is a difficult industry. Show business is not for the faint of heart, baby. And if you think show business is easy, try stardom. Stardom can kill you. Right. So you got to, find your better space and think in that space. Every morning I wake up, this is what I say. Whew, thank you, God. I am alive and in my right mind, and I am going to have a fabulous day. When I hit that stage, they're going to know what? That I am right there. I say that every day. And guess what I get every day? A fabulous day. And every day I take my curtain call. Ha! They rise to their feet. Yes, they do. 'Cause what? I'm taking my bow. You got to change the way you think. Too many of you think too negative. And I got to tell you right now, I don't care where you are, you can change the way you think in a thought. You just got to think it. And then you got to believe it. It's real. Just like that. Shoot, I ought to do speeches about this. I ought to be making money telling people what they need to do with their lives. Yes, I'm going to come to your town and charge you $60 to have lunch with me. Okay, maybe $100. Although if you're in Alabama or Georgia, maybe $50. We'll see what the market will bear.
Feels like we in church.
I am so blessed with my social media community. I don't know what it is, but I've got a very diverse community. And it's really millennials, though. Don't ask me why my community is so young, but I have a very young community, but they're like great. We have hardly any negativity at all. It's very much a positive community. I even do a lot of tweeting, from church or spiritual points of view, and they're like into it. So I love that. I've got a few Republicans on it, and they're like very cool, and we all just talk, and I don't know what that's about, but I'm very, very happy that we're all able to be in my social media community, and we have a very good time, and we just talk. Nothing is off the table. For a while there, there was a big, long Twitter about Amber Rose. I did not know who Amber Rose was at first, and I made a comment about a picture that was taken from the back, and it ended up being a huge conversation, but by the end of it, it was a very positive conversation because people started talking to each other about how it was they addressed each other. Then I ended up meeting Amber Rose, and I took a picture and I kissed her on her cheek. And then people were like, why would you do that? Why would you take a picture? And I was like, sometimes we need to rethink what it is we think. I'm not going to ostracize this girl because maybe I don't think exactly the way she thinks. The only way that I can possibly get to understanding what she thinks is to talk with her. To have some sort of a meeting of the minds. And very often when you meet people, sometimes what you think you thought they were is not what they are at all. So that's how I move forward in life. That's how I, work with it. When I'm on the road with my husband, Senator Vincent Hughes, we meet a lot of people. And, it's very much like being a first lady. You have to have grace. You have to be, at the same time, tenacious with your grace and always be able to walk with everybody, wherever it is they come from. Kings, queens, and common people. And very often, kings and queens are quite common people. So, you just have to be able to walk and talk with everybody, and that's what I do. Hi, I'm Sheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching TrueExclusives.com. I'm exclusive.